Good morning, youth. Thank you for tuning in this morning. It's been a while since we've been able to meet, and honestly, the youth leaders and I, we've just been bursting apart at the seams on what can we do to reach out to you. We know there's a lot of things that you're going through right now. This, for some of you in your lives, you're too young to have experienced some of the other nationwide tragedies that's happened in the past, and we just wanted a way to let you know we're still here. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is how we're going to be able to communicate with you. But today, Sunday morning, April 5th, this is our first time doing a video recording. And let me just start by saying thank you for watching this video. I know it's a lot easier to just continue doing what you were doing or watching television or whatever. So actually pushing play on that YouTube video that's got your youth pastor talking actually takes quite a bit of you wanting to honor God. And so hopefully I can do him justice and give you the words that you need to hear today, but this is just the first of many. I know some of the other youth leaders have got things that are planned, but then anyway, where we're gonna go. Let's start off with announcements. So announcements number one, camp. We're all worried about camp. Camp is the first week of June. According to the Summit website, camp, they haven't changed their plans yet, so they're monitoring the situation. So as far as we're looking at everything, camp is still on, so we're still planning for camp. What is kind of the gray area is the fundraisers. So what we're going to do is once we're able to meet again, we're going to kick off and do our fun dessert auction fundraiser. To tell you the truth, the church is going to need this. When we all get back together, we're all going to want to fellowship and do things amazing again. So it's a fundraiser that's really going to be what everybody needs. So I'm actually looking forward to that. We're still going to do that. Now, should Summit decide they need to change their plans and we don't have that first camp? Well, we're still going to hold the fundraiser. As soon as we get back, we're still going to hold the fundraisers. Because no matter what, youth, we're doing something this summer. We're going to get together and we're going to worship God and we're going to have a way that we can fellowship and a way we can learn about Christ. Once this COVID-19, the keeping separated is lifted, we're going to do something to where we can kind of fellowship together and we can just learn about the Bible and have a great time. Honestly, our youth ministry, we're doing pretty good upstairs. We have the bathroom facilities, we have the shower, we have the band, which does an amazing job. Love our praise and worship band. But we have things that we can do, so it's not the end of the world. We also have these beautiful parks in our area. There are things we can do should Summit be canceled. But right now, we're pushing straight ahead, expecting Summit to be existing on June 1st, so no plans have changed. So please keep saving your money. If you need some help getting in, I know there's going to be a lot more people in need. A lot of people have not been able to work this past months, and so should that be you, don't let that hinder you from being able to do something. Get in contact with us. We'll do what we can. All right. So, speaking of COVID-19, it's really important. Well, let me just say this. The skills that a Christian has are a lot different than most people's skills. And I'm going to say because a lot of it is kind of a stereotype. A lot of people think Christians are just like, hey, we go with the flow, we worship the spaghetti monster, and we don't really use any critical thinking on what we're doing. But honestly, that's just the opposite. So those of us who study the Bible, those of us Christians in the group, when we're studying the Bible, we look at relationships, we look at patterns, we look at things that happen in the past and the future, and we try to find God's divine will in all of that. We try to find out what the purpose was. And it's beautiful when you see God take something that was a tragedy and he turns it into a blessing. And so I don't know what God's plan is for what's going on, but I do know that the devil is working hard using this to pull his people away. And I'm not pointing fingers or anything like that, but it's so hard for me to watch the news right now. So if you're watching the news and I see a lot of people who are just honestly very, very scared about what's going on, and don't get me wrong, this is a serious situation, but there's a lot of information that's not being presented in a way that can show how God is doing beautiful things in the world. It just all seems, I'm not sure what the motivation is, but it all just seems to be doom and gloom and panic ensuing. And so it's really hard to watch the news. And so my suggestion is what I've heard before is, yes, stay informed, but limit your resources to those that are the experts. You got the CDC, and if you've got doctors that deal with communicable diseases and things like that, and those news conferences, those are important. But try not to let yourself get too wrapped into the media and what's going on. The doom and gloom ones, I don't know what their reasoning is for not sharing how things are going on positive in a way to bring the country together, how people are sacrificing things. So yeah, don't get me wrong, serious situation, but don't let it overtake your life. All right, don't let it overtake your being able to, see the positive in what's going on. What's God going to turn something into something beautiful? But I shared a Bible verse on the Facebook, and it was 2 Timothy 1:7. And it said, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." God, when all this stuff is going on, he doesn't want us to fear about it, doesn't want us to dwell on it, doesn't want us to focus on the negative. And that's different. I mean, you can recognize the negative and you can try and make sure it doesn't happen again, and you can correct it. But when you just focus on it so much it becomes all you think about, that's not what God wants. But he wants us the power of love. So the power and of love and of sound mind. He wants us to think critically. He wants us to look at things logically. He wants to look at things from a factual basis, not from hearsay, not from fear-mongering. So as Christians, we tend to look at the Bible that way. So we don't just say worship a spaghetti monster. We're looking at it, we're analyzing, and a lot of us, still deal with questions like, is the Bible real? And it's only through studying and realizing and analyzing and being critical of the words and seeing how the parallels that happened, 2,000, 3,000 years ago parallel to modern day, do we realize the wisdom of the Bible. And there's no way something like this could just be written as a fictional book and not be divine. That's what we as Christians do. So, yeah, when Paul's talking to Timothy right there, he's just giving it us. So don't let that happen to you. Now, when you get older, you get to look back and you get to see God moving and God doing amazing things, taking tragedies and turning them into beautiful things. I was talking to Suzanne, and we were just talking about, what's God's plan in all this? Well, we were worried about camp. What about camp? These kids get to be pulled away. You get to be away from technology and all that, and you get to hear some amazing preaching. Well, wasn't it just a few weeks before all this started in February, we had Dwayne Berna come and we had a youth revival? Never been done before. It's almost like, I would like to think that God said, yeah, I know you're not going to be able to hold services together during this time, so he set up this whole thing in motion to where you can really, you could come in, you got to do some praise and worship, and you got to hear some really great preaching. So God's handed that. God's handed, we now have facilities upstairs where if we were to do anything that was kind of a long term, we have the ability to do so. We've got enough square footage now, we have the heat and air, the church is all set up. The church has got this amazingly fast internet connection now that we can actually hold these visual communications where we can do pre-recorded. So God's really been at work in this church changing, and the church just got internet the first of the year, right? So God's been doing a lot of changing in this church. I don't know if that was his plan, but if it was, how awesome, and I can't wait to see what's planned for everything. What's he doing down the road? Just that amazing forethought. So it's in awe, really, of what's been going on, even in the midst of all this COVID-19, but I'm just seriously amazed to see things that, you can't just say are coincidence, right? If you can say one thing's a coincidence, but you can't say 3 or 4 things are a coincidence. Everything was been moving together to make this happen. Honestly, the bathrooms just got the doors on, during the revival. Everything just happened. So anyway, it's beautiful. It's wonderful when you can think about that. Saying that, what's going on in your family? You have got an amazing opportunity right now with the government saying that you should stay home, avoid contact. Who are you avoiding? Who are you around now when you're avoiding contact? You're around your parents, guardians, siblings. This is a great time for you to actually find out what's important. What's important? What God wants you to do. Romans 1:16. Now, before I get into that, also, while you're with everyone, it's a chance for you to really reflect. It's a chance for you to study your Bible. We've been covering the Romans Road before we got here. Remember the Romans Road? That's something you can study at home right now and you can share. Now, if you've got family members who are already saved, have Bible study together. There is no better Bible study than sharing with your family. When you sit down at a table with your parents and you start going through these Bible stories, they're going to tell you stories about things you never knew were possible. or I'm sorry, never knew happened in their lives. They're going to start sharing things with you, and you'll gain a greater appreciation for your family and what they've been through. If your family is not saved, what better time than to be an example? All right, honor thy father and thy mother. This is not the time for you to be being really rebellious or being throwing, just being, I don't want to say fits because you guys are older than that. But this is not a time for you to really cause your parents any grief, right? Do the dishes, take out the trash, do as they ask, live biblically. This is the perfect time. And you'll find out that your parents are actually pretty good people. You'll find out your brother and sisters, even though they annoy you, they got your back. And this time where you're all together, you're kind of all in it together as well. You are all in the same household. If someone should get sick, the other's going to have to take care of them. You're all in this together, and it's your family. They're the ones that's got your back during all this. And that's something you can learn to appreciate. For some reason, we slowly began thinking that life was going out to eat and looking on our phones and reading the Facebook and the social media and taking pictures. That's not what it's about. Family is what it's about. And sharing the gospel has no better place to start than with your family. So, youth, I know you all are saved. I know you know the Romans road, but I'm going to read Romans 1:16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. Romans 1:16. Now let's go ahead and recap Romans road, because I challenge you now. We were doing this before at our last meeting together, and so this is a perfect time for you to go over these Bible verses. It is Romans 3:23, Romans 3:10, Romans 5:12, Romans 6:23, Romans 5:8, Romans 10:9 through 10, Romans 10:13, and Romans 10:17. I'm not going to make it easy on you. I want you to do some research on your own on looking up the Romans road. I want you to read those Bible verses. When I'm reading to you, sometimes you might not be paying attention, or it just doesn't seep in as much. But when you read them to yourself, you can really focus on the words, read it slowly as you're just absorbing them. And I challenge you to memorize these different verses from the Romans road. Keep them in your heart so you can retrieve them quickly. Realize that God has given you something special, which is the gift of family. Enjoy that. Remember it. So when this is all over, you'll keep doing that. You'll keep doing things with your family. You'll keep studying the Bible. And more importantly, if you can share the gospel with your family, you can share the gospel with anyone. So start there, and you'll be stronger than you've ever known you were thought possible. So anyway, I look forward to talking to you again. I look forward to seeing what the other youth leaders are going to come up with for their videos. Hopefully a little bit more interesting than this one, because that's really not going to be that hard to do, but we'll do what we can. So anyway, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. If you're still watching, gold star, because about 90% of the people have already stopped watching by now.